Hello and welcome to Scene on 7. I'm Patricia Mitchell and this will be the last time I'll be sitting in the chair with you, but I can assure you that this programme will be unlike any other Scene on 7, as not only have the WMtv crews been out in the region covering the stories that are of interest to you, but this week there's a special theme. All our reports and guests concern women's issues, and let me assure you that doesn't mean that they won't be of interest to you men. And to prove the point, here's a preview of what is coming your way. Tom Magner explains the new directive on pregnancy and the workplace. I've been allowed out of the studio to discover how schools are helping out with the working mum. We look at domestic violence and what can be done to support victims, as well as a special look at local exhibitions of women's photography. And in the studio, we'll be talking to one mum who is raising funds to give her young daughter Adelaide, who has cerebral palsy, the chance to swim with dolphins. Beverly Beach explains new parents' rights when it comes to deciding how you want your child to be born, as well as the all-important Cable Corporation competition, where you could win free cable television for a whole year. But first, from October the 16th, a new directive comes into operation regarding employers, and not wishing to be sexist about it, female employees. Now gone is the 2-year golden maternity mark for working women planning to or accidentally becoming pregnant. Tom Magner looks into the ups and downs of the new directive.
Just 6 months into this century, in 1906, women took to the streets to fight for the right to vote. Now, with just 6 years to go to the end of the millennium, the seemingly endless battle for equality still continues, this time in the workplace. Carol Webb from West Drayton, then 18 years old, had a dream to launch a career in air cargo handling. 7 years and a long trail through the courts later, her dream was shattered. Sacked from her 4-week-old job just because her new employers thought she was pregnant.
I was just so shocked, so angry, hurt. I wasn't given the chance to actually express myself and actually explain anything. I was just told that I was pregnant and I was fired, and that was it.
What benefits do you think this new legislation is going to have?
Oh, it'll benefit a lot of people. It'll actually make the companies realise that, you know, they can't actually get you through redundancy or pregnancy.
Sean Wilkins from Owen White and Catlin in Feltham is a solicitor specialising in employment law. Sean, when the directive comes into force, if someone like Carol comes into your office, what's the situation going to be now?
The basic provision now, before the directive comes into effect, is that you have to have been employed for a period of 2 years or more before you effectively have any employment rights whatsoever. When the directive comes into effect later on this year, you don't have to have 2 years or 2 weeks or 2 days. Any length of service of employment will give you far greater rights to maternity leave and rights not to be dismissed automatically on grounds related to maternity leave and pregnancy and matters such as that.
In terms of the overall picture of unfair dismissals and the types of situations, how common is Carol's position?
I deal with a lot of employment law, and I see on a weekly basis clients coming into me asking me what their rights are. They hypothetically would say, I've been working for X number of weeks, I told the boss I'm pregnant, he's sacked me, what can I do about it? It's a very common problem at the moment. Before the 16th of October directive comes into effect, I have to tell, unfortunately, these women that if they've been employed for less than 2 years, they have no rights in relation to unfair dismissal.
Some women fear that potential employers will see their newfound protection as a burden that's just too much to bear, meaning, in effect, greater rather than lesser discrimination.
So far as employers are going to be very much more aware of this directive when it comes into effect, there'll be a deal of publicity. They'll be aware that any woman, not just those who have been employed by them for 2 years, will have far greater rights. For example, the most obvious right is that they will be able to take a period of 14 weeks, or 12 or 14 weeks, depending on their circumstances, maternity leave.
In effect, though, isn't it going to put employers off employing women?
I think in reality it probably will. Employers are always wary today of the 2-year time limit. I often see people coming to me who've been employed for 1 year, 11 months and a few days, and then they've been dismissed. So employers are already aware of employees' rights in relation to making an unfair dismissal claim at the tribunal. When the publicity which will inevitably follow the directive coming into effect comes to fruition, employers will be, I suspect, very, very wary indeed.
Speaking now as a man rather than a solicitor, do you feel that women are fairly treated?
It's extremely difficult to answer that. If you look in terms of what the law does for men and women, then the new directive will give women fair treatment. I then have to ask as a man, not as a solicitor as you candidly put it, whether men are fairly treated. At the moment, there's no such thing as paternity leave in this country. There's a deal of publicity about it at the moment. Men don't have paternity leave. I wonder whether they should have that to be put on an equal footing with women.
While companies wrestle with the twists and turns of the new legislation, Carol Webb, much the wiser for her experiences, has advice for other women who find themselves in the same situation.
Well, most women, they leave it. They don't bother following it up. They just think, he's thanked me, I can't do anything. Well, go to this list to find your rights and actually follow it through. I did and I've won it.
Companies we've spoken to have failed their employment MOT. Some said to us that they'd barely heard of this new directive. Others said they were too busy to talk about it, and several privately admitted grudging acceptance. One thing's for sure, as long as companies keep their heads buried in the sand, real equality is still a long way off.
It'll be interesting to see how the new directive actually takes effect in the workplace. I suppose only time will tell. Now, what would you do if you were pregnant and had your heart set on a home delivery or even a water birth, only to discover before the event that due to bureaucracy or some red tape, your decision and feelings on the matter just didn't count? Well, a surprising number of women experience such treatment and worse every year. The key is to be informed, and one organisation that aims to both inform women and their partners and improve maternity services is AIMS. Now, here with us in the studio is Beverly Lawrence Beach. Beverly, thank you very much for coming in today. Now, I know that you're very, very closely involved with AIMS. Perhaps you could tell us a bit about the organisation.
It was started in 1960 by a woman called Sally Willington, who spent 6 unforgettable weeks in a postnatal ward and was so appalled by the way that women were treated that she wrote to the national newspapers. And after a while, she had a deluge of letters from women saying, we must do something about this, we agree with you. And they started the Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Pregnant Women. Fortunately, they changed the title fairly soon afterwards.
Yes, because that does sound a little bit sort of melodramatic, actually.
A little threatening, I think.
Yes. What is the actual philosophy behind AIMS?
Essentially, that women have a right to determine the kind of care that they should have. It's their body, it's their baby, and they should get what they believe to be the best care for them.
And looking into things that one might consider not the best care, what are the kind of examples that you can give us on a day-to-day level that pregnant women might experience?
I think one of the first things is most women go to their general practitioner and say, doctor, I'm pregnant. And then the doctor says, oh yes, well, which hospital do you want to go into? Or, you know, you have a choice of hospitals, there's this one, and this one. And they don't give them any information about the range of choices that there are. And so women tend to go along with what they're told and don't question what they're told.
And I suppose that's particularly pertinent for first-time mums who really don't know what is on offer unless they've got a lot of friends who've gone through the same process. But a lot of women now are on their own when they have children, presumably, in terms of, you know, the extended family isn't there to support them these days and what have you.
But even so, I think women are amazingly ignorant of their rights, of what choices there are, of the risks of the technology that they may be subjected to, of the kind of procedures that they're going to be faced with, and don't realise that there's a lot of questions that they could be asking.
And what are the sort of questions that you would advise mums to start asking themselves in order to start asking the services?
Well, I think the first thing that they ask is what choices have I got, and where is their information? I mean, that's one of the reasons that I wrote Who's Having Your Baby, which tells women precisely what the choices are and what their rights are, and it's the only book that actually does that. There are an enormous range of baby books, and most of them are full of pretty pictures and very little information about the really solid, hard data. You know, what does it mean if I'm going to be offered an ultrasound? Is ultrasound safe? should I have this ultrasound? Why are they doing it? What are the risks of ultrasound? And the research that's coming out now is suggesting that there are problems with ultrasound, and women shouldn't just go along and expect to have any number of ultrasound examinations, because there may be potential long-term problems.
And presumably also at the other end, not just once women have discovered that they're pregnant, it is things like whether they want to have a home birth, the likelihood of being able to have a water birth, things like that,
Yes.
and whether they should say no to the possibility of having cesarean. Now, what can women do when they're in that situation? It's a highly emotional situation.
That's
there
right.
you are, you're being told by the medical profession that you and your baby is at risk if you don't have, say, a cesarean, or if you go for a home birth, you're being selfish.
Yes, yes.
I mean, what can women do? I mean, if I were in that situation, I'm sure I think, well, whatever's best for the baby.
Well, you can't, there are lots of childbirth organisations around that can help. There's the National Childbirth Trust, there are home birth support groups, there's AIMS. Women can contact AIMS. We've got a national network where they can get in contact with any number of AIMS members who will give them information and tell them what they can do about it. If they're wanting a home birth, they should know that they have an absolute right to have one, and the hospital has a duty and obligation to provide a midwife.
It might be said that this is my devil's advocate question, that actually the National Health Service and all the maternity services available do a damn fine job, and actually you are stirring up a lot of trouble. And that, what would your answer be to that statement?
Well, I think one has only got to look at the sort of things that consumers have asked for over the years, and what consumers have been asking for actually costs less than much of the high technology that the doctors have said that they wanted to introduce. So if they'd listened to consumers a little earlier, they'd have saved a great deal of money. What we are asking for now is that women have care from midwives, and the care from midwives reduces the costs, because women who have that kind of care often don't have as much intervention. They're fitter and healthier, their babies are fitter and healthier, and in the long run it's better for everyone.
So mums are saying no to all the technology? And,
well, not all of it,
yeah.
Because technology at times is very important and is very much needed. But the problem has been that because the doctors have taken over the whole birth process, they only see it from the point of view of it's only can be considered safe after it's happened, and therefore there's a disaster waiting to happen.
Yes.
The reality is that it is safe for the majority of women, and there are a few women who require extra assistance, and that assistance should be there.
Thank you very much for coming in, Beverly. It's a
pleasure
to see you. If you'd like to know more about AIMS, you can write to Beverly at 21 Ivor Lane, Ivor, Bucks, and the postcode is SLO9LH. Right, so now you've become pregnant, you've managed to keep your job and had the perfect delivery in the way you and your partner wanted. But what happens when you're back at work and rushed off your feet? Well, take a look. When do you want it by? No, I can't do it now. I've got to go and pick up the kids. I should have picked them up 5 minutes ago. Look, I'll do it tonight and I will have it on your desk first thing tomorrow morning, but I've got to go now. I've got to go and pick up the kids. All right, first thing tomorrow, bye. Why do these last-minute panics always happen when you haven't got anyone else to pick up the children for you? This scene will be very familiar to a lot of working mums out there. But Harris School in Cookham Dean has found the solution to the predicament of the working mum, and we're going to take a look.
Bonjour, je m'appelle Michel, comment t'appelles-tu? Je m'appelle Michel, et salut.
Now, Mr. Hare, the extended school day here at Harris School has been going for nearly over a year. What exactly was the prompt to make you extend the school day for the children?
I think we felt that there was a need for some kind of care to be provided at the end of the day. So we decided to send out a questionnaire to parents on that matter to find out what they would like. And it seemed that there was a very good response from that, and a very clear indication that a lot of parents, particularly working mothers, wanted to use this facility. So that's how it really came about.
How many parents do you find actually sort of have started to use the extended school day scheme?
I think in terms of percentages, we've got about 50% of the school children taking part in it. It's usually around about 40% who will perhaps use it once a week. I think 30% twice a week, and again 20% twice a week. And just a few will actually use it very, very much more extensively, 4 or even 5 days a week.
Using the old adage, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy, how do you actually fill the extended school day so the children don't sort of literally just sort of get fed up with it at the end?
I think it's because basically the concept behind it is that it is a fun thing, that we want the children to relax at the end of a very busy school day and in a way prepare them for going home. But it's done in a constructive way. It's fun that is educational fun, so they gain quite a lot from it.
And you've obviously had a lot of children who've done one term of the extended school day and have actually come back for more.
Indeed.
So you're getting lots of positive results?
Lots of positive results, and indeed a great deal of interest from outside in that, which is good.
Good. Squeeze out. Jodie. Good hand, have it. Well done, Jodie.
Now, Mrs. Warnes, you've obviously been involved in this extended school day. Can you tell me how you actually fill the day for the children, the extra 2.5 hours?
Yes, well, we like to provide a variety of activities that will suit both the junior children and the senior children, so that there is some physical activity and creative activities. And then the children break for tea midway. And then if the weather's nice, we like to go outside so that they can run around for a while. And then they come back in and the older girls do some prep and the younger children do some drawing or have a story or something like that just before they go home.
And how do you find the children actually find the extra 2.5 hours in school? I mean, don't they get a bit fed up with it?
No, not at all. They really enjoy it. It's a chance for them to be with their friends and have some fun in an educational way, and some physical activity if they like.
What do you think is the benefit of the extended school day?
Well, for me personally, it's extended my working day. Prior to the extended day starting, I would have to leave work at 2:30 to pick the children up at 3:30. Now I can leave at 10 to 6 and be up here for 6 o'clock, which is a full day.
And what about you, Rosemary? Would you say that that's true of you as well?
Well, I don't work anymore, but what helps me with a younger child is the activity is done here and I don't have to come up in the car, collect my daughter, take her on to another activity. Then we get home and it's homework and I'm trying to cook meals, and it gives a calmer evening for everybody, and when I collect my child, then the time we have is quality time together.
And what's your name?
My name is Tom.
And what are you making there?
Well, I'm making a person having a picnic, but these I've made earlier on.
Now, do you enjoy spending extra time at school?
Mm.
What's your favourite thing?
Well, doing this.
You like doing the clay work, do you?
Yeah.
Oh, good, that's great. Thank you, Tom. What's your name?
Laura.
And what's your favourite subject?
It's maths.
What other things do you do when you're actually spending extra time at school?
I'm country dancing on Mondays. But this is what I'm doing today because it's a special day.
It's a special day, is it? Oh, that's lovely. Thank you, Lauren. You might be interested to know that there are a few schools in the area that do extended days. So if you're a working mum, it might be something worth looking into. I wonder if I could make one. I wanted to take young Tom home with me, but fortunately his mother wouldn't let me. Now, so far on this programme, we've dealt with problems women face that by and large have a solution. But what would you do if you discovered that your child had special needs? Needs that necessitated raising sums of money that weren't readily available to you. One such mum is Zoe Gardner, who's in the studio with us here. Zoe, welcome. Thank you very much for coming in and bringing young Adelaide with you as well.
Thank you.
Now, tell us a little bit about Adelaide's condition.
Adelaide was brain damaged at birth, which means that nearly every single part of her body has been affected, and we are trying to get her better by doing this severe exercise programme, which is actually teaching a part of the brain that isn't being used to do the things that a normal child will be doing, like using her right hand, talking, walking. We have to teach Adelaide everything.
So that involves a great deal of sort of physiotherapy and treatment with that. Is it sort of actually round the clock treatment?
It is. We actually undergo a programme which is 15 hours a week, which is Monday to Friday, morning, afternoon and evening. Yeah, we've got 30 volunteers that come in each week. They've grown to love Adelaide a lot. She gets her cuddles afterwards as well. But some days it's very hard because Adelaide sometimes doesn't want to do the programme. Other days she'll sail through. And she's got her favourite volunteers as
really?
well. Yes.
Now, I understand that also you're trying to raise money for something in addition to the regime that you're following at home, which involves actually going to visit dolphins.
Yeah.
And now, what does that actually involve? Tell us a bit about that.
Because we haven't been before, we only know what's been written on the papers. But they say like 95% of the children who have swum with dolphins will improve, whether it be speech, walking, talking. You know, it could be anything, literally.
But something's better than nothing.
Yes,
and it's definitely worth giving
and
it a
all
go.
it is actually just the children swimming about with the dolphins. The doctor will ask Adelaide to do something and she will get rewarded with a swim with the dolphins.
And for some reason, somewhere along the line, almost sort of mysteriously, these children that have been going along to swim with the dolphins have got some therapeutic benefit from it. Is that
yes,
right?
definitely, definitely. Some children, it's just like a miracle. Where the miracles do happen, they have happened in some children.
So this is quite different to those sorts of trips where young children sort of go on sort of things like trips to Disneyland for the fun of it. This is actually therapeutically based.
It certainly is. We want to give Adelaide everything that we can while she's young. If she does walk and talk, well, we hope she will walk and talk. But with us giving her the stimulation, being so young, hopefully she should pick up in later
the earlier
years.
the better, so
That's
you can
right.
build on it. Now, going to swim with the dolphins isn't something that is particularly cheap, is it?
It's not. Just the course of the dolphins is £1,600. That's not including airfares and hotels and everything like that.
So what have you been doing to raise money?
Well, I've actually been putting on ladies' nights.
You might as well have fun while you're doing it as well.
Oh, definitely, definitely. People are so fed up of sponsoring and raffles, so I thought I'd do something completely different. And I'm selling tickets for ladies' nights with drag queens and strippers. And my first venue actually sold out within 4 weeks. So I've had to put on another one.
You just had to.
I just had to. But they, I don't know, everybody's looking forward to it. They get a free raffle ticket while buying the ticket. And we've got some prizes donated by cake shops, and Summers have donated us some underwear. And
now, I gather you're not actually... You've actually done exceedingly well in raising money, but this isn't going to be a one-off thing, is it?
It's not, no. If Adelaide gives us a sign that this is going to work, we'd like to go back and improve on Adelaide, but we're not going to just leave it to the dolphins. We're still going to do her exercises, and hopefully, maybe after a couple of years, we can bring her back on here, and
you will have her back on the programme. She'll be sitting here, probably.
Be pulling the screens down.
Thanks ever so much for coming in, Zoe. And of course, we wish you all the best of luck and have a great trip with the dolphins, because I'm sure you're going to get there, if not definitely more than once. And I'm sure the dolphins are very much looking forward to seeing Adelaide too.
Let's hope so. Thank you.
Now, if you want to make a donation or help raise funds for Adelaide's trip to receive therapeutic treatment with the dolphins, you can contact the Duke's Head, Farnham Royal, or alternatively, you can telephone Zoe on 01628 66 8875. That's 01628 66 8875. Now, you may by now be aware that the 10th to the 16th of October is National Asthma Week. The main aim of the campaign is to raise awareness of this sometimes annoying and sometimes deadly illness. 3 out of 4 children with asthma, aged between 5 and 7, are woken by asthma symptoms. Often asthma goes undiagnosed or untreated due to confused symptoms. One study showed that on average it took 7 GP consultations over a 3-year period to obtain a diagnosis of asthma. And since 1970, research indicates that childhood asthma has almost doubled. The asthma campaign is calling for more research, more asthma specialists, more awareness and more reliever inhalers in public places. Now, if you want to know more, please call the asthma helpline on 01345 010203. That's 01345 010203. Now it's time to take a break, but coming up in part 2, we'll be looking into the reality of domestic violence and how to break the cycle of abuse. Susanna Fernandez shows us some beautifully colourful photographs celebrating women photographers. There's the new single and video from Mareka Deruvo, and of course the Cable Corporation competition. So see you after the break.
HQ for the best in alternative modern fashions. HQ for the best in travelling and camping equipment. HQ for the best in workwear. HQ for the best quality, the best price, and a superb, friendly service. HQ is in Slough, Maidenhead and Reading. HQ, you'll find what you want.
Here are some important points you need to know about the Sweet Shop. The Sweet Shop offers unbeatable style, quality and a range of furniture to suit every taste. A comprehensive home furnishing service, from delightful wallpapers to breathtaking fabrics. All this with superb value and the option of deferred payment or interest-free credit, and as you'd expect, free delivery at your convenience. The Sweet Shop can be found at the Ideal Home Superstore, just off Junction 7 of the M4.
Hello and welcome back to Scene on 7. An issue that is always difficult to talk about with any accuracy in terms of figures is domestic violence, primarily because the very nature of the act is concealed behind closed doors with an elaborate shroud of secrecy, with each member of the family often in some way indirectly allowing the violence to repeat itself. However, increasingly, police forces around the country are creating special domestic violence units to deal sensitively with the problem. And in the studio we have with us WPC Jill Embling, who works at the Burnham Domestic Violence Unit. Thanks very much for coming in, Jill. Now, how long has the Burnham Domestic Violence Unit been set up for?
It's been set up since January this year. The reason being, historically, uniform officers on patrol used to deal with domestic violence incidents, and it's since been recognised that there's more of a need for a more sort of coordinated approach, hence the setup of the unit.
Yes, because I think years ago the policy was very much if there was domestic violence then it was up to couples to sort it out themselves. Well, that's not the approach now at all,
No, it certainly isn't. Also, the Home Office have also advised police forces throughout the country that they must be more positive in their approach to domestic violence. Thames Valley Police have a very positive approach, and in fact if they go to domestic disputes they won't mediate, conciliate. If people have committed offences then the offenders, abusers will be arrested, so something will be done.
Right. Now it seems like an appropriate time to actually take a look at a reconstruction of a scene involving domestic violence so that we can talk through some of the issues afterwards. Now I should warn you that whilst this is a reconstruction involving actors, some parts of this film are violent.
Hello? Jack! How are you? Well, you'd better watch it then. You know what they say, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. Robert, well, he's getting more and more frustrated every day. It's 3 years now since he lost the business, and, well, at his age, jobs are hard to come by. I'm still at Waterman's, though, and we're coping. Oh, it's too late to change things now. Sandra and Paul are living away from home. Too busy with their own lives. Thank God for that. Colin? He manages as best he can. At the moment, father and son are not on speaking terms. Story of my life, really. I know. Look, can we change the subject, please? Tell me the latest romantic saga in your life. Don't tell me Miss Wright is still nowhere on the horizon. Honestly, Jack, you are the limit. I don't believe it, the poor girl.
Who is it?
It's Jack. Robert's just come in. Would you like a word with him?
What, with a boyfriend? Why, compare notes? Thanks, but no thanks. I don't want to talk to that creep.
Look, Jack, I've got to go. Yes, everything's fine. Don't worry. I'll speak to you again sometime. And thanks for
You keep your slimy hands off her. You slag, you carrying on behind my back. You think I can't see what's going on? You think I'm stupid?
No, it's not true. Jack's just a friend. Our friend. We haven't got any other relationship.
The hell you don't. What do you think I saw just a second ago when I came in, you simpering and sniggering into the phone like that? And what do you do to me? Give me misery and more bloody misery. Why? Because you bring in the cash? I'm no longer man enough for you, is that what it is? And where the hell did these come from? Did he bring you these? Come on, answer me, you two-timing tramp. Did he, damn you? Damn you! Damn you! Damn you to hell!
For God's sake, stop it! You know I always bring those flowers from work, like I always do. You are a goddamn bully. You just need an excuse to have a go at me, to abuse me. You think I'm a misery? Of course I'm a bloody misery, because you make me bloody miserable, because you're a bloody misery yourself.
Oh, bloody misery, am I? Just need an excuse to. Nothing going on between you and Jack, of course. Oh, no. You with the morals of an alley cat, and you're calling me a bully? Ow! Gosh, you bitch.
Ow! 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 You brute! Oh, I hate you. 30 years of my life wasted on scum like you, and all for the sake of my children. Well, after today, no more. I want you out of our lives. I don't care where the hell you go. I just want you out of here. Get out! Get out! Get out!
God, am I brute, am I? You want me out of your life, do you? Well, I want you out of mine as well. Do you understand? Not just now, but forever, for good. Is that clear? I want you to get right out of my life.
Oh, you filthy monster! What are you trying to do? Kill me?
Yes, I'm gonna kill you, you stupid. I'm gonna kill you.
No!
Stupid bitch. Ow! Little son. I'll give you a good lesson.
No! No, don't touch him, please! For God's sake, don't touch him!
Go on then, hit me! Go on, that's all you're good for! You know, Father, and I hate you! Do you hear me? We hate you! Why can't you go away, leave us alone?
You just go to hell, the pair of you.
This. He nearly killed you today. He might kill us both tomorrow. Why can't you call the police, Mum? Are you listening to me? Mum, I'm scared. What will happen the next time? You don't need this. Please let me call the police. You shouldn't let him get away with this. Please, Mum.
Yes. Call the police.
Hello, my name is Colin Price. My dad has just tried to kill my mum and she's hurt. The police, as soon as possible. He's gone out and he could be back any time. And we're scared. I'm 12 years old and our address is... Mum, the police are here.
Hello, Mrs. Price. I'm WPC Peters, and this is PC Smith. Are you hurt badly? The ambulance has been called and is on its way. Can you tell us very briefly what happened?
My husband, he tried to strangle me. He accused me of having an affair. I'm not, but he just wouldn't listen.
Has he ever been violent towards you before?
Yes. Off and on. 27 years. But it's been worse in these last 3 years, ever since he lost his business.
We're going to have to arrest him for assault. What do you intend to do in the future?
I don't know. I just want him out of our lives once and for all.
You should contact your solicitor and apply for an injunction. That should keep him away from you and your son. Then if he assaults you again, there's a chance that he could be fined and sent to prison.
I called the police. He tried to kill her. Go on, tell them.
Mr. Robert Price, your wife and son have alleged that you've assaulted them. Do you have anything to say about that?
I don't know.
Mr. Price, I'm arresting you for assault. You don't have to say anything unless you wish to do so, but what you say may be given in evidence. Do you understand that?
I'm sorry. I don't know what got into me. I just seemed totally to lose control. I'm sorry, it won't happen again. Jane, I want to change. I want another chance. Please, I'll do anything you want me to do. But don't leave me, please. Please, don't leave me.
Mum, the ambulance is here. Come on, let's go.
No, Mr. Price, you're under arrest. You must come with us to the police station.
Now, it's a very distressing scene that's been portrayed there, but I mean there are very, very sort of true situations which that has mimicked.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, that's the real life situation for a lot of women.
Now, you've actually walked into situations like that when you've actually been in uniform, and how does it feel to actually walk into a situation where there has been violence in the home?
It's quite frightening, really. It gets the adrenaline pumping. But you're the professional, you have to be there, you have to take control, and you have to be seen to be doing something positive. Otherwise, it doesn't do the woman any good whatsoever.
Now, there must be lots of people that think, well, you know, she's put up with this for so many years. I mean, why didn't she do something earlier? What would your response be to that?
Well, there's many reasons why women stay in domestic violent situations. If we try and put ourselves in her frame of mind, the first thing she's going to think of is, if I go, I'm going to lose out, I'm going to lose lots of things, and those losses will be immediate. So she might think, I lose my home, my family, my children, security,
so
financial
better the
security.
devil you know than the devil you don't know.
Yeah, well also, I mean, she's also got the feelings of powerlessness, fear, guilt. It's my fault, I'm a failure. And what she doesn't think is the long-term gain. And if she does think of a long-term gain, then it seems an impossible target. So the long-term gain would be her freedom, she would get her self-confidence back, her self-esteem, and she would have a life, and it would be a life without domestic violence.
Because the whole of the life, if you're living in an environment of domestic violence, it must be that every second of your day there must be the threat that you are going to be violated in some way.
That's right, you never know when it's coming, and a lot of women instigate the violence because they know a punch is coming and they know it'll be sometime in the day, and they just want to get it over and done with. So they might have an argument, get the punch out of the way and then carry on, and then the cycle will continue.
What about the idea then that it's, you know, staying there for the children, that, you know, I've stayed with you for 20 odd years for the sake of the children?
The effect on the children is terrible, apart from the obvious emotional effect at the time, the child being there, being involved. There's also the thing that the child could get injured or killed, and also Canadian research has showed that children most definitely are secondary victims of domestic violence. And if a child is left in a violent situation and views that violence sort of daily, weekly, whatever, he or she could become an offender or a victim when she grows up. If I just go on to say, we've got a couple of boys in a nursery school at the moment that are very young and showing aggressive, violent behaviour to their peers because that's what they've learnt from being at home, because that's how their parents react.
And the psychology behind the male perspective, the man, in this instance, the abuser, if you like. I mean, why does he actually exhibit such behaviour? Where do you think that stems from?
Well, Robert, in this situation, is very insecure. He's lost his job. His wife has a job. He sees his role as provider. That's been taken away from him. He's very jealous. He thinks she's having an affair. And in his mind, the only way that he can control her is by physical violence.
So it's to control the situation.
Domestic violence is all about power and control.
Right. Now, what advice would you give to any women who are in a situation of domestic violence? Where should they go to start to try and stop this cycle of abuse?
They can come to us first of all, the police, Women's Aid, Samaritans, social services. There's so many agencies that will help. A lot of these women feel very isolated and they need to be given choices. And once they have the choices pointed out to them, then they can become in control of their situation again.
And that's true also of the men, isn't it? That the men can actually gain control back as well, that there's help available to them. Thank you ever so much for coming in today, WPC, Jill Embling. It's good to see you.
Thanks.
We'd also like to thank the actors in that reconstruction who very kindly gave up their time to do that, and also we think they ought to be counselled as well for the stress that it might have caused them. Now, there are a whole host of telephone numbers you can ring if you are trapped in a violent domestic situation. You can try the Samaritans on 01753 531011 or 01753 531012, or the Police Domestic Violence Unit on 01753 506 457. That's 01753 506 457. Or Sahara, the Asian Women's Project on 01753 266 333. That's 01753 266 333. Or the Rape Crisis Line on 0171 837 1600. That's 0171 837 1600. And as you can see, there are lots of people out there who understand your problem, are non-judgmental and just want to help, even if it's just someone to talk to. And now it's your chance to win free cable television for a whole year. Yes, it's the Cable Corporation competition. Last week's question was on which channel can you see Moonlighting starring Bruce Willis? The answer was the Family Channel, and the winner is Andrew Talbot of Warple Street, Staines. Well done, Andrew. This week's question is which channel is showing the Ruth Rendell Mysteries on Wednesday at 9 p.m? Is it A, the Family Channel, B, Sky One, or C, Wire TV? The number for that is 0891 299 800. Your call will cost no more than 75 pence, and all the money raised on that 0891 number is going to the East Berkshire Children's Appeal. And now it's time to celebrate the joys of women with the music of Rebecca de Rouveau. You might recognise her from MTV. She has now turned to singing songwriting, and this single is written about her ex-husband and entitled I Caught You Out. I wonder why. Post Office have announced a competition for children, namely to design a poster featuring famous people who, in their opinion, would be suitable as modern-day three wise men. The competition is in line with this year's Nativity Christmas stamps. I think this is a brilliant competition and I just can't wait to see the judges' decision. There are 3 age categories, 5 to 9, 10 to 13 and 14 to 16. The winners will receive £100 in gift vouchers, a day out and tickets to Greece. The closing date is November the 18th and entries should be sent to Poster Competition, Public Relations, Royal Mail, Basingstoke, RG21 1AA. I'll say the postcode again, RG21 1AA. And now on to art of a different kind, women and photography. Signals is an exhibition of women's art and photography taking place right across the country. Its aim is to encourage debate about photography and inspire women. Signals is committed to furthering the national and international recognition of women's work. Women have only recently moved from the fringes into the heart of the art, so WMtv has done its bit in trying to keep women at the heart by inviting Susana Fernandez to show us some of her work.
It is our preconceived idea of an ideal social structure that has prevented us from understanding and appreciating gypsy culture. This is a culture pure in their racial originality, proud of their ethnic unity, in love with their natural way of life, and conserving values and traditions over 1,000 years old. In recent years, the authorities have forced many gypsies to settle on permanent sites. These photographs are of one of these sites, the End of the World camp on the outskirts of Lisbon in Portugal. Here I found traces of their previous nomadic lifestyle, still in existence. Their strong sense of community and the importance of the family, their relationship with animals and with the outdoors. I was overwhelmed by their hospitality, generosity and caring. I was often invited for meals, given presents and offered the best bed to stay in. I experienced the importance of and the responsibility towards their community. Since I photographed this camp, many gypsies have been moved into council flats. I am curious whether they will maintain their cultural identity and resist the government's attempt to dissolve this ethnic minority. Will the young generation of gypsies forget their past in order to be part of the evolving society?
And just to recap, an illustrated programme listing all the Signals exhibitions is available from Jenkins on 0171 267 7531. That's 0171 267 7531. Well, that's it for my final week. Steve Hyland will be in the chair next week for the last Scene on 7 as we know it. You'll have to tune in next week to find out more. Remember the Moving Magazine coming up directly after the programme, and don't forget the Cable Corporation competition. If you have anything you'd like to put on the Moving Magazine or any suggestions for WMTV, you can write to us at Scene on 7, WMTV, PO Box 7, Slough, SL3 6ET. And from everyone here at WMTV, thank you for watching.
I'm not going to put a custard pie in your face, Steve, but on behalf of everybody here at WMTV, we'd like to give you these flowers and thank you very much for 5 weeks of brilliant presenting.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. That's very, very kind. Thank you. I gratefully, gratefully accept. Well, we hope you've enjoyed the programme as much as we've enjoyed bringing it to you. And, well, I'm gonna go home now with my lovely flowers. Hopefully see you sometime soon.